Citizens, how's your spirit? I'm peaceful. My forehead a little bit shiny, not too bad, considering, honey. Okay. Uh, how I came to you. The sector that I came through would have been the family. Right? As a mother, I was talking about family content or whatever we're talking about in the very, very beginning before they put in demographics and separate us out into black YouTube, white YouTube, European, da 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 da. In order to be, so the black and white, that's a separate thing, but all of the other demographics, they needed to separate us out so they could make sure that they were in alignment with the laws of the country. Black and white folks, well, we've always been the cudgel for everybody else's relationships. This is why we're going to talk about this. Okay. So I saw all that stuff going on. I saw YouTube doing its best to break out its demographics and do everything that needed to be done to have a complete algorithm. And that's around the time that I told you about how the algorithm worked. And that's also why I came back and told you about verisimilitude by way of the algorithm. The reason that it seems like I'm speaking directly to you, whomever you may be, in relationship to all of this, is because when I was a young girl, I had television favorites: Mr. Rogers, Romper Room, and believe it or not, those are the Clowns. These were all interactive children's television in their own way. They all broke the fourth wall when I was young. So it's absolutely normal to me to speak to someone who does not exist, because as a child, I spoke back to it when they spoke to me. My feelings were hurt as a little girl because Romper Room, she would at the end hold up a little mirror. It had no thingy in it. She would say, I see so and so. I see so and so. I did not know someone had to write in your name so she could say your name, or you had to be in the audience to see it, or some way get it. That's how I recognized psychics when I became an older person. Like, okay. So for me, looking at psychics and listening to psychic content is a way for me to keep track of who's lying to humanity. Because I really don't pay attention. I am someone who is exceptionally introverted, exceptionally gifted, and have lived in a world with the majority of my life. It was easier for me to remain silent than to use my rights to free speech. It kept me safe when I was young in the United States military. It kept my sons and I safe by way of operational security. And then as I began to come onto social media, it kept me safe by way of cybersecurity. All of my things were hacked around 2020 from everyone whose student loan information got hacked. Okay, that's what opened the door on one end. And then there was a thief by the name of Adrian Shingleton who stole my identity on the other end. And that brought in everything else with the manosphere and back to relationships and why we're here. As a person on the internet at that time, I was not speaking for or against marriage. I made people understand that the modern marriage is a business, especially considering that most people today are a brand. Because as soon as you sign up for anything on social media, honey, you are branded. Facebook, whatever it is, you are placed into a demographic and then a sector by way of what it is you put out into the world. Me, that's where it gets tricky. I talk about a lot of things, but I'm consistently discussing family values. So I fall into the family values category, which then throws me into right leaning content a lot, even though I am not right or left leaning. I am an independent. I'm moderate. I'm frugal when it comes to my finances, honey. How do you think that you keep a family of five going in the United States military for 20 years when he started from an E3 when I met him? Got demoted a couple times, came back and left as an E6. And I watched my stepfather do that for 22 years, although I never saw him get demoted. So I understood what it took. Okay. High speed soldier, my ex husband was not. My stepfather's problem was he wasn't political enough. Well, I should say, he just believed in keeping his head down and getting the work done. See? And he raised me along with my mother, whom I've always called a blippy at 4:44 on the clock, because she just loved everybody. She invited every one of his soldiers into our home. When I was a young girl at the holidays, and any picnics and whatnot, we went to. company events. You see, company events then meant, company C, company B, company A. You understand? So when companies started having events, I fully understood how to move because etiquette is based pretty much on a military standard over here that mimics the British military brigade. I mean, sorry, the French and British military brigades. So when it comes to anyone doing business around the world, it's all based on similar European strategies. So when it came down to me coming onto the internet and building my thing and the strategy that I intend to use going forward, as far as financial victories and financing my personal program, is built around what I recognize in the world, which is why no one can actually steal it from me and continues to be in need of my assistance, even though they don't want to admit it because they have used so much of what it is that has come directly from me. They don't know how to remove the culture from the conversation. The culture is a part of the conversation. Collard greens are a part of the conversation. Watermelons are a part of the conversation. Motherhood is a part of the conversation. Money is a part of the conversation. Politics, religion, it's all there. However, they cannot morph it into more people. I can't. You can't come in the door talking about not liking cannabis and grabbing women by the vagina and think that you're going to be able to make a wave of wins on cannabis and vaginas. Do you understand? There's Republican men and Democrat women. Okay. Each one has decided to shame someone for something. I'm just using those two things as an example. I'm talking about the parties, not the people, but you understand what I'm saying. All of that is what we call the web you weave when you practice to deceive. Okay. It just gets more and more tangled. Black people believe in detangling products. So I detangled entropy. I detangled the three body problem. Me. I solved it. I just told you how I did it. You all believe in entanglement, i.e., Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. My ex-husband believes in entanglement and swinging. My biological father believes in Scientology. These are the phalanges needed to write a script mimicking my life on television, i.e., Tyler Perry, Fort McPherson, and owned Harpo, Oprah. When you figure out the key players, you can figure out how to what? Detangle entropy. Isn't it interesting that Oprah Winfrey is connected to Harvey Weinstein, who is connected to Epstein, who is connected to Donald Trump, who is connected to the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party, who donated money to the Democrats at the time that we are discussing that Epstein was all up in everybody's business as a concierge. And I call myself a cannabis concierge doctor. Yet I'm here for the homeless and those you don't care about, you see. So entropy would say, I'm the problem in these three bodies, and they would like to get rid of me. They cannot, you see, because cannabis, womanhood, and all of it are on the ballot. And I'm as black as you can get, and honest and transparent to the point of damn near translucent. They try to use it by way of anthropics, AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial. It's unreal. It doesn't exist. And I exposed it when I said, hey, you remember all them Amazon shops that were popping up back in the day? Well, because I worked at the United States Commissary by way of DECA, for the Department of whatever that is. Anyway, I worked there at the commissary when they were putting those little LED thingies onto just the shelves, right? And I recognized that I did this at home too. Just check it out. Uh, you have to key in everything, everything. So the UPC code, the that's the like hashtag 4011. I mean, that's still bananas. That's bananas in that form. And then it goes into the computer, but it gets a barcode. Because when I was in culinary school, I suggested this was all right around the same time, right? I suggested, what if, because Amazon's about to pay me for this shit. I shut up to that. So I suggested at the Art Institute, Raleigh Durham, which is connected to guess what? Fox, it's connected to who? Donald Trump. Sit your ass down, EDMC, and listen to me. So I suggested, what if it was a class we had? What if we had to make a little book that the children have to do it in junior achievement? Like, we'll do it. So then, I suggested, what if we have trays that each day, they have a certain amount in them, like the pharmacy, but with food, culinary, shipping, making it easier for everyone to be able to make sure that their food was on time, getting to where they needed it to be. Because I told you, a Crystal's down the street in Fayetteville. And I couldn't, oh, my apologies, that was Fort Stewart, Georgia, before I went to culinary school. And I couldn't get Crystals one day. And I just thought, what a shame. And then barcodes and UPCs and scanning things and start showing up all around me. And then one day I saw Michelin tire with that little that I used to do on the internet. And this was right after I had my death experience. And I got right down some steps and I was like, wait a minute, are you telling me that they sold me out to the industry and they're still trying to kill me? But Jesus, it was too much for me. So I decided to walk away from everything and see. Will the same thing still happen without me vocally being at the front of this thing? And then the chickens came home to roost last year on No King's Day when I saw all of these people in an anonymous city. You see, the average person still doesn't know where Tucson is until Nancy Guthrie, which I believe to be a lie, a cover up by way of the Church of Scientology, just like Will Smith, entropy, entanglement, and me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2026. But we've had singularity for about 5 years. I'm sorry it took you so long to get here. You believed in the government. That's not unfortunate. You simply didn't pay attention and do your due diligence as a citizen to keep up with what your government was doing with your money. So I've been doing that for my whole lifetime. The woman has been the holder of the purse strings politically, and that's who politicians spoke to, and they forgot to do that in recent. They continued to placate the president, no matter who was in office since President Barack Obama. Well, and that is because he instituted marriage between the same sexes. Prior to that, or a marriage within the same sex, prior to that, we had civil union and we had marriage between a man and a woman. Anyone could marry by way, or could come together by way of civil union. Only a man and a woman could come together by way of marriage. So when that changed, the languages started to change, dialogue, and we get around to the they, then, do conversation. And that is where you start to see the cracks between whites, indigenous American blacks, and everyone else in society. Okay. White Americans are proud Americans, and it has nothing to do with their whiteness and everything to do with the fact that this is their country, this is their flag, this is their land, and they will kill a man if they come after them, women and children. Black Americans feel the exact same way. And we knew that since the civil rights movement back in the day. What happens then is that Black Americans get gunned, we get the NRA, and then we get gangs and the mafia again. They continue to divide and or split Americans into Italians. Uh, I want to say German Americans, but that pretty much is mostly food, and someone that they can beat up on here or over there because of the world wars. You know, so we don't really beat up on anybody about Vietnam. Most of you are eating Vietnamese food all of a sudden, and you're like, "We did what? I'm so sorry. How can I?" And you're getting your little American guilt trip, and it's okay. You need it a little bit. We don't. It's called a comeuppance, um, a wall-to-wall counseling. Uh, you have a talk with Jesus today. Uh, bless your heart. Is Southern Grandma before you about to get this business, which is it's say something else, which is it's already too late. You've given me an opinion of you that unless you course correct and I see fruits of redemption, you can't come around here no more. You see, I have been Tucson's black mom for a minute. It started in 2020. It's just some of you took a while to catch on to it. But other people have been looking for me to pop up on the internet in different places. And some of the ear hustlers are just the people who otherwise don't feel the need to jump in unless someone gets in my way, and then they'll do what they need to do. We believe in a castle doctrine. We believe in defending our home. Why do you think I'm in Arizona? Do not get me wrong. I know what this city is known for. The government gave me three choices in Arizona: Prescott, Phoenix, and Tucson. Prescott, where the January 6th insurrectionists come from, QAnon, right? Phoenix, where there is an overabundance of human beings and it's hotter than Satan's testicles. And then Tucson, which is south of Satan's nutsack somewhere around his knees, and at least we can get a breeze. Okay? Don't be mad at me because Tucson stands for what it stands for, which is cups and on the top of the end of that. Don't be mad at me. That's the going story. Okay? And why wouldn't Tucson give the glory to some black athletes out of any other city that came in and put their money here? We were talking about over the years that money went from California to Phoenix, and then it might have trickled down to Tucson. But then all of a sudden you've got LeBron James' son here, and he could spend money here, his family and them, and y'all like, wait a minute, this lady said if we don't get our act together, won't nobody spend money but us. And then your city got sold out to the Saudis, and now nobody really wants to spend any money here, and you want to know how you're going to be able to get out of it. So does the manosphere. The president took money from the Qataris and got that plane, which is, he had to run from it, so to speak, right? It's all the same thing. When you understand that the macro and the micro, or the micro and the micro and macro can be aligned in such a way that they are a what? Cipher today. What is a cipher in my community? It's what you would see at the bus stop as a smoke session or in my programs or the studies that I'm creating. Then a cipher is me sitting down with other people and discussing a topic in a language that is unique to us because we speak this type of thing. I said this on YouTube when I had to file my case against the United States president, YouTube, UNG, Sony, and Russia. You see, because the president put sanctions first, I believe, and then tariffs on Russia. Russia retaliated by doing the same thing. And me, little content creator who was doing fine, chugging along, making money over there, but using my social media platform to send people over there began to lose money because they kept shutting me down every time I would do music or talk about certain things because in this country they believe in censoring thought discussions like thought discussions like politics, religion, because it encourages what? The detanglement of entropy. It keeps you from being caught up in the political propaganda machine, and you can pay attention to what you are seeing in the world around you and how it relates to what they're saying politically. When you do that and you sit on your porch with your friends and you smoke your pre roll that we're going to give you on Halloween, right? That is porch politics turned playtime for those of us who otherwise recognize there is no reason to get upset. We simply need to get in alignment with what's going to keep money flowing in this country, despite what everyone is witnessing. Cannabis has always been here. People have always smoked it. Almost all of your presidents have said they tried it. In recent years, what would you do if the president, seeing me nipping at his heels for the seat, said, you know what? Let me just see what's up. I'm gonna try it. You say she got a regime I can follow? A regimen. I apologize, Mr. President. I don't want to make the connection there. I didn't. You said she got a regimen I can follow. It might help me to deal with some of these things from having a bullet whizzed by my ear. Or if, Mr. President, what they say is true, and you had a, a blood pack explode too close to your head, it could cause a traumatic brain injury. And me, I've survived a couple of those and complex PTSD with dissociative identity disorder. So perhaps maybe the president been, listening to a spiritual consultant who can also give him information on cannabis by way of consultations he's not paying for because in this case he's investigating by way of a study, that H3 grant. Now, he couldn't have known that you all would mismanage that money the way you have in the city of Tucson, Arizona, and by way of the Manosphere. Because, let's be honest, even though he wrote the art of the deal, he was really much more of a brand than a businessman. Now, if you fully understood everything that I just said, then you can understand why in 2019, during his administration, I signed up for AmeriCorps. And they gave me the options in Arizona that they did, understanding I would have probably chosen Tucson because I would have stuck out like a sore thumb, excuse me, in Prescott and in Phoenix. I wasn't interested. The position there was dealing with otherwise injured children, um, and so I chose junior achievement, and junior achievement chose. You see, and that's how I ended up in the city of Tucson in the state of Arizona. Although I will say it was because in 2014 I was diagnosed with severe depression after the murder of Sharif Muhammad. And then 2016 I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia because I was never able to deal with his death. And then my cousin Demario Perkins was murdered by the Memphis Police Department in 2018. And I needed to leave the Southeast to get away from what I thought was ailing me. And I came out here. And what was ailing me was being around a bunch of people who didn't specifically care about me, him, Cherie, or the many, many, many people who die in the streets and are innocent. People tend to forget that a gun doesn't shoot itself. The person on the other end of it is innocent unless they too are holding a weapon exactly like it as someone else. And that we would call a duel or mutual combatant situation. Neither of these cases was that. And after being married to the military and seeing my father, my ex husband, and so many others come home safely from literal war, to have two men I consider civilians die in the streets, one at the hands of an intruder who came into his home, attempted to harass his guests, and shot him while he was defending his home. Castle Doctrine. The second was going to get something for a child. He was shot by the police. They said it was suicide. He died with 9 bullets in him. Then there's me. I know about multiple cases like this and my own, and continue to seek justice for as many of those people as possible. Which has multiple reasons for people in the gun community to come after me specifically. Because as I just said, no one's innocent, and I am not dead. For somebody, that's like 2 shots to the head. Prince had a song once. You need another lover, like you need a hole in your head. I understood that. I don't need a lover. I don't need someone to love me traditionally. I need someone to understand, to be wise enough to know when I need time to myself, when I need them next to me. I need someone to know when I need them to go through that door and understand. I understand. They never come home again. There's a song by India Ari that pretty much says that thing. Every time my children's father went off to war, there were songs that I listened to. There are things that we did. Assurances. Other people would call them um, superstitions. If one day and their children wasn't all going to be nice, but we did all of those things repeatedly just to make sure he got home each time. An associate of mine told me, be careful what you pray for. So I always ask the creator of all things to bring him home as safely as he could. You can't go to war and not see something. After Mario's murder, I met his uncle, who was a Vietnam veteran. The dichotomy was real to me then. First of all, he was an older man who was married to someone who was about 20 years younger than him. I thought it was beautiful. Do you know that he was doing more to take care of her because she also had fibromyalgia than it was she taking care of him? The United States better. We had a home. He was happy, loved. And he told me that he wrote love poems after seeing his best friend die unintentionally by way of a grenade for whatever reason. Well, was playing with it or whatever it was, and the pen came out. Friend had the grenade in hand, and he watched the remains melt. He made it to see DeMario turn 29 before DeMario died. Put him well into his 60s and happily married to someone who was happy to be with him. Happy individually and joyfully. That's what marriage is. That's what relationships are. That's that commitment to death do us part, to um, sickness and health, good or bad hair, teeth or no teeth, shiny skin or the paleness that cancer treatment brings. If you're happy with you and we were happy together, you'll still find someone beautiful underneath all of those things. Time and love then become eternal and nothing matters. Well, that's why how it feels remains untitled. No one truly knows what unconditional love between two people is between those two people. You never know what you got until it's gone. Some people are lucky enough to live into the moment. Many of us hang on too long, and we're not ready to catch the next branch, the next road, or the next tree in the jungle. We all swing on a vine, so to speak. Gotta watch out for that tree. Me, I teach you how to use tree to medicate, to educate, and to fill your body with all the nourishment you can't otherwise get from social media content. There are others who see value in it and create from it their own content, which is not plagiarism because they walk away having processed by way of a cipher and or smoke session. Mama's cooking with a modern understanding of what it is to be Black in America, a mother like me, at the height of the newest female independence movement. What will we empower each other to be, if not more kind, more loving, and more compassionate to the men in our family? Because we understand that the consistent misalignment of their assignment has kept them from being mission ready on Monday. How could they possibly be foundational fathers and or fellas by Friday without our assistance on Hump Day? That's humanity, the birds and the bees, in 33 minutes, 15 seconds, and how to stay married, according to JP.